You guys seem to like my character showcase video for Deadpool and Wolverine, and I enjoyed making it too, mainly because I forced myself to play as characters that I wouldn't usually choose. So I thought I'd make this a regular thing, and whenever a Marvel film or TV show comes out, I'll pick some relevant characters and come back to this series to see what they're like in each game. However, some of these projects are so far away, and others might not even happen. So there's an upcoming film that I could either do in 2026, or we could just do it now.
I am Iron Man.
Today we'll be taking a look at both Iron Man and Doctor Doom. Starting with Ultimate Alliance 1, where Doom is the main villain, so he's not playable, until they added him as DLC post-launch.
Iron Man. Doctor Doom.
And because of the way this game handles leveling, even though we've never played as them before, we already have a bunch of skills unlocked. So in the first game, because we're doing the Deadpool and Wolverine challenge, I didn't want to progress the story, so we loaded up a previous level to test out their moves. Starting with Doom, he has his very basic punch combo, and his heavy attack is his charged energy punch. Obviously he can fly, and he can come back to land with a ground pound. For his abilities, he's got a big AoE explosion. Bear in mind these enemies do die in one hit, so it is powerful but not as powerful as it looks. And he also has this laser attack, which is quite cool because you can hit it from the sky. Something I didn't mention in the last video because I didn't actually know about it yet, is that characters have ultimate attacks in this game as well. Because we're in the air, I absolutely whiffed this one, but I'll show it off properly later on. Each character also has 2 boost abilities. These are all just stuff like you do more damage, you do less damage, you move faster, you use less energy. This shield here deflects projectiles and also does damage to enemies that touch it. We'll take a look at his other skills later on, but now we'll move on to Iron Man. His main attack is this rocket powered punch combo. And he also has an AoE ability that does a lot of damage initially, and you can keep it going to deal chip damage. He's got a charged rocket uppercut, which as you can see is not the easiest to hit. And as we unlocked a new costume for Doom, he walked into a spike. Iron Man's plasma disc is a basic projectile attack, but it can be charged, and when it hits, it deals damage as an explosion. Iron Man can obviously also fly, which you can use to avoid combat, but it also lets you just completely skip puzzles and platforming if you want. This boost for Iron Man makes your abilities use less energy, but even with that, I found him quite hard to play as and we died easily. I'm not sure if I had something set up incorrectly, or I was just so used to using Deadpool and Wolverine's healing factor that I was playing badly. But either way, we switched over to our new costumes and head into Iron Man's simulator disc. I felt like this was the best way to show off the character, since you're solo and the level is designed for that specific character. We didn't get off to the best start, with the AoE move hardly doing any damage and honestly just feeling like a waste, and we were just getting attacked from all sides, but I quickly found a combo that I liked. This is when I learned how useful combo moves actually are. These allow you to either pop enemies up into the air, stun them, or make them fall over. And from then on, my main plan of attack was to stun the enemy, uppercut them for a lot of damage, and then attack them when they're on the floor. But in the next Doom, we got overwhelmed, so we used his ultimate, which does a lot of damage to one enemy and a small bit of damage to everyone else. This one is quite underwhelming to be honest, but it is useful. And then we got to the final boss, Ultimo. One of the most common comments on the last video was people saying that these games taught them about superheroes or villains that they hadn't seen before. And even now, if you Google Ultimo, you just get this singer in Michelle Moan's lingerie company. So it was quite cool to see him pop up again in the third game.
Wait, these readings I'm getting don't make any sense unless... Oh no. Ultimo.
This fight ends up taking ages and we just uppercut, block, until we take out Ultimo with her ultimate, which also unlocks Iron Man's ultimate costume. Bear in mind, this is only 3 hours in and I didn't actually know what I was doing. So before we move on to Doom, I also wanted to quickly show some gameplay from when I was getting gold on every simulator mission. So we've got a level 44 Iron Man in his War Machine costume. The piercing unibeam is great, and it melts every enemy that isn't energy resistant, who we take out the normal way. But when we got to Ultimo, it did seem like the best method was still dodging and uppercutting. As I said before, I do think the best way to show off characters is to do their simulator missions, but sadly Doom doesn't have one of his own, so we took him through one of the versus boss ones instead. And this explosion move is just so much fun to use. You can simply go up to enemies, blow them up, and then finish them off on the ground. He also has a unique grab which halves the enemy's health. He's got a charge energy move called Doom Blast, which is very similar to Iron Man's one. And you can even use the explosion in the air, which is obviously super useful, but you'll run out of energy fast. And again, here's some footage from later on in the game with a leveled up Doctor Doom. We've got this Force Lightning move that isn't great, but I assume it works well on bosses, and he can also bring lightning down from the sky, which works incredibly well, especially if you're grinding kills to unlock all his costumes. And of course the explosion move still works amazingly here. So for the costumes, we've got Classic Doom, Secret Wars, Christoph, and Ultimate Doom, which ended up being my favourite. Doom is the big bad of the first game, so let's actually talk about him as a villain. Near the end of the game, you spend some time away from Earth, and when you come back, Doom has basically taken over the whole world, and corrupted a bunch of superheroes, including the X-Men. But the thing most relevant to this video is that when you get back to Stark Tower, its colour scheme has completely changed and it's now Doom Tower. Instead of fighting Doom bots, the enemies are literally called Doom Iron Man. Now, I will admit, Doom is a huge blind spot for me, so I was quite surprised to see that Doom and Iron Man are actually intrinsically linked in this way. The final boss of the game is Doom himself, and if you bring Doom to the Doom fight, they have some unique dialogue with each other that also gets you a trophy. And after defeating them, we finish the game and Doom gets teleported to Asgard, where Odin is going to deal with him.
You've accomplished nothing. Your black soul is mine. No! An eternity of suffering is the fate of those who challenge the gods. One hell of a job reversing the damage Doom did to Earth.
Aye, but I believe he is presently occupied with Doom and my brother Loki.
Which leads us directly into Ultimate Alliance 2, because Doom isn't in this game at all, and we start off by dealing with the new Prime Minister of Latveria, which then obviously quickly devolves into Civil War, where Iron Man is an important character. If you watched the last video, you'll know that we actually went against Iron Man, so we have to finish up to the end of Act 2 to unlock him again.
I've got to hand it to Fury. I'm not sure we ever would have found this place if you hadn't led us here.
And instantly we can start to level up his 4 skills and unlock their upgraded versions. His basic attack is the exact same, and his charge attack is also very similar. And of course, he can still fly. He's got these missiles that can be shot from mid-air, and a unibeam shot that can be charged up. I know some people aren't fond of this game, but I love how cartoony it is. The fact the pop-ups go this high into the air is so fun, and the same applies to throwing enemies. His third ability is also similar to the one from the first game, which has been buffed, because the AoE energy move now doesn't dip in damage as much. And finally, he's got a rocket-powered charge into enemies. And again, I guess I'm still getting used to not having the healing factor, because as I was spamming it, Iron Man died. But he got right back up to show off some of his fusion abilities. If you pair them up with another beam based character, the beams will meet in the middle and this does a ton of damage and is easy to use. He can also let melee characters do their thing while he jumps in the air and lasers in a circle. Overall, I just found this version of Iron Man a lot more fun to play as, since he just feels a lot more powerful. Knockback is one of the main things that makes him more fun, since his energy move will push people far away, and with his charge attack, you can basically just shove these guys back into the water. There is obviously a lot more Iron Man in this game that we haven't seen, but I'll be covering that in the full Platinum video. So for now, let's just keep this short and sweet and move on to the third game. Iron Man is available almost from the very start, and Doom is nowhere to be seen, because he's actually in the final DLC for this game. This DLC is story focused, so we first have to beat the main game by defeating Thanos and in his son Thane.
I am taking away our pain.
Where we then scatter and hide the Infinity Stones across the world.
So, I guess we won?
At the start of the DLC, Doom attacks Wakanda and everyone comes to help. Something quite cool about this is the first 2 DLCs added 4 characters each, but no story content. So this final DLC highlights the X-Men and the Midnight Suns.
Let's get the Blackbird in the air, X-Men. Next stop, Wakanda.
We fight through Wakanda and find Doom for the first time in this game.
This chamber is sealed by Wakandan magic older than recorded history. How quaint. But countering it is child's play to one as versed in the dark arts as Doom. You shall pay for that transgression with your lives.
And then we have a boss fight with him. Fighting Doom as Iron Man gives us an opportunity to check out his moveset. His basic attack is the same as the previous games, and he has another AoE attack, but instead of energy pulsing out, he shoots lasers in a circular motion. His heavy attack is this 2-hit combo that shoots energy out, and his unibeam can now be held, and you can even move it around to do damage to multiple enemies. His charge attack is back, almost identical to the second game, and he can target a bunch of enemies and shoot missiles at them. What's funny is that Doom has a similar move, and he actually used it at the exact same time as us. This fight ends up being quite annoying because to break Doom's shield, you have to use a specific combination of abilities. And with the characters we're using, we literally cannot make that combination, which meant we just had to wait out this attack until his shield came down again. And most of the time he would break the shield for a split second, just to go back into it again. Eventually we defeated him, but he sent us to the negative zone.
There shall be no place for you in it.
Where it looked like we were going to get killed by a bunch of bugs. But then...
Look who the insectoids dragged in.
About time you guys got here.
We have a universe to save.
Don't we always?
I'm skipping through this section to get back to Doom, but all you need to know is Johnny Storm is overpowered and we met Annihilus.
Tame heroes. Annihilus has millions of mouths. It's clobbering time. Ah!
Then we jumped into a portal back to Earth.
And to make sure no one follows us home.
Yeah, about that, Stretcho. Whose home did you send us to exactly?
We make our way into Castle Doom by getting past these annoying lasers that I have no clue how you're meant to actually do. Bear in mind this is a kids game, but I guess it is also a Team Ninja game. Doom starts to awaken a Celestial, and we need to get past more platforming sections that get harder and harder. The first one isn't that bad, you just need to go into the lane that isn't highlighted, but now we also have to dodge this electricity which is almost impossible. And what makes it worse is if you get hit, you get pushed so far back and get stunned, meaning you'll most likely get hit again all the way back to the start. I'll just let this play out, but as you can see, when you die and take control of an NPC, they're always just sitting at the very start. Our next two attempts went the same way, and I could just tell this isn't meant to be this hard. So I googled it and I found a Reddit post that explained that this whole DLC is designed to be played as the Fantastic Four, so they recommended that I use the Thing, which meant I had to go back to a previous checkpoint. And when we got back, it turns out that the Thing can just kind of walk to the end. We switched back to the Human Torch, and then we ran into a further updated version of the Celestial. But this time I got lucky, and I managed to just brute force my way through it and get to the door. Okay, but honestly, somehow this one isn't that bad. We get to the Celestial and we defeat the boss by throwing the rockets at it. The cosmic power now comes out of the Celestial and into Doom himself, who becomes God Emperor Doom.
Thus, Doom must transcend his mortal flesh and become a god himself. Doom is your emperor now, your new god. Kneel before him or feel his wrath.
God Emperor Doom does have new moves, but he's got the same old shield as last time. However, the biggest difference in this fight is that once you get his first chunk of health down, he summons the Avengers, including Iron Man. It always comes full circle. Now, this fight is tough, there's just so much going on, and once you think you're home free because you killed the Avengers, they all just kind of come back. And because you're fighting 5 guys at once, it's almost impossible to revive your teammates when they go down.
You ain't dead yet. This bites.
But after a 6-minute boss fight, we managed to defeat him on the second attempt.
Cannot be. This was Doom's destiny.
Yeah, well, my destiny was to be a supermodel. Life don't always go as planned, Doomsday.
Even so, life is always precious. Especially the lives of those we've sworn to protect.
A lesson you'd be wise to remember, now that your subjects have their souls back, Victor.
Our pals from S.H.I.E.L.D. are inbound. We'll get his royal pain into custody and...
I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Tony. Not yet.
Reed, what are you...
Before the cutscene plays out, I just wanted to touch on the post-credits for these games. After you defeat Doom in the first game, you get a Galactus post-credits.
Such insignificant creatures. They dare steal from Galactus. For that, I will destroy their planet.
But obviously the second game is all about Civil War, and it doesn't have a post-credits. Then the third game was about Infinity War, where you defeat Thanos and Thane, and then you get another Galactus post-credits. But the DLC that they made was about Doom, and then at the end of this DLC, it calls back to the post-credits.
We were all in Doom's lab earlier. I noticed some troubling data on his scanners.
Of all the freaky things in that lab, you picked the data? Classic Reed.
The power signatures being recorded were so intense that even Doom's instruments couldn't accurately decipher them. I fear that your recent encounter with Thanos and the Infinity Stones may have reawakened ancient cosmic forces, and they might be...
Headed here, to Earth. Doom felt them too. They have witnessed our power and they seek to restore the cosmic balance by removing us from the equation.
It's been 18 years since the first tease, and now 4.5 since the last one. Like, what are we even doing here? Just make a Galactus game? After finishing the DLC, we finally unlock Doom.
Way for a true hero!
And we also unlock very hard mode, which I will not be touching. So we put together a team of Iron Man, Doctor Doom, Sherlock, and Gambit, just cause I'm a Gambit guy. And now we could fully upgrade Doom's skills. First, I played as Iron Man for a bit, just to make sure I had seen all of his abilities. A new thing that I noticed is if you do his basic attack while you're flying, it's almost identical to how it works in the first game. Also, his unibeam works much better when you actually have enemies to kill, and his charge attack can also be charged, which will send you across the map. As for Doom, he can fly, and again, if you attack mid-air, he falls out the sky. He has this crazy move where you spawn a Doombot, and honestly, I was just in awe of how much damage it does and how long it stays there. It's so overpowered in its own unique way. The Doom explosion is back, which also has a bunch of knockback, and he's also got this spread projectile move, which honestly just kind of sucks, but I imagine it would be useful against multiple enemies. For his basic attack, he's got this energy combo, which ends with a ground pound that ripples forward, and this is a charge attack. For their ultimates, Doom spawns in some Doombots who focus energy into a ball, and then Doom uses his powers to bring it down into the ground. And Iron Man's is honestly quite similar, because he spawns in the Iron Legion to focus their unibeams into the centre. and Doom's final ability is the exact same as Iron Man's Unibeam in this game. Again, I don't know if I just don't know enough about Doom, but I did not expect Iron Man and Doctor Doom to be so linked in this way. Now, I just want to apologise that this video took so long to come out, but in the next few days I will be getting the platinum in the first game, and the second game is meant to be much quicker. Next Sunday I'll have a special announcement video, and in that video I'll also announce the dates that the Ultimate Alliance 1 and Ultimate Alliance 2 platinum videos will be coming out. And I've also got one more character showcase video that should be out soon. I'm waiting for something out of my control to happen, and you might actually already be able to guess what it is, because it was kind of teased in this video. But if you're new to the channel and you'd like to see any of those videos, or check out any of my usual videos where I just get the platinum in all kinds of different games, then subscribe to the channel and thanks for watching.